Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have an almost supernatural control over the environment around them? Without saying a word, they don't shout, they don't beg, they simply withdraw, and suddenly everything changes. The energy shifts. People start to question, to chase after, to feel. Now imagine if you did the same. What if you stopped reacting immediately to everything? What if you chose silence instead of the automatic response? Retreat instead of explosion? That's where the point lies. When you stop being always available, emotionally, physically, psychologically, the world around you goes into crisis. People are used to controlling you through your reactions, your impulses, your predictability. But the day you choose to withdraw, the game changes. Those who thought they knew you realize they know absolutely nothing about you. Carl Jung said everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. When you become inaccessible, who gets desperate? Who gets irritated? Who tries to provoke you just to elicit some emotion back? This reveals more about the other than about you. It shows how much you've been manipulated without realizing it. You keep giving yourself away to please, to maintain peace, to avoid losing people who deep down were never really with you. And with every forced yes, every immediate response, every emotional reaction, you give away a piece of your energy. And at the end of the day, what's left? Tiredness, frustration, and emptiness you can't explain. But I'll tell you why. Because you are too available for those who don't deserve even a minute of your silence. This isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about choosing yourself. It's about learning what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, complete. And you know, this process begins when you realize that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments. That withdrawal, when done from awareness, is an act of power. So I ask you now, how long will you continue to be controlled by the emotions of others? How long will you react like a puppet every time someone pokes your wound? Maybe it's time to cut those strings, to withdraw, to become a mystery. Because when you stop being available, everything changes. You've been taught to always be present, to respond quickly, to please, to say yes, even when you wanted to say no. Since childhood, you've been conditioned to believe that your worth lies in how available you are to others. But here's the truth. Excessive availability is not a virtue, it is a prison. And as long as you continue to think you need to be accessible all the time, you will be manipulated, drained, and forgotten as soon as you are no longer useful. Do you know why? Because being always available makes you seem predictable, and everything that is predictable becomes a tool. People use you as an emotional emergency button, press it when they want attention, relief, validation, and then put you back on the shelf. But you don't realize this because you're trapped in an illusion that being present for everyone will make someone be present for you. It doesn't work that way. Carl Jung spoke about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, recognized. And it's exactly this mask that keeps you overly available. You say it's okay when you are suffocating. You respond to messages immediately, even when you're exhausted. You explain yourself, justify yourself, defend yourself as if you owe something to the world. But the more you place yourself at the center of others' stage, the more you disappear from your own. Being available all the time is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It's a disguised way of seeking approval, avoiding rejection, trying to control the image others have of you. But this comes at a price, your peace. Your vital energy is distributed as if it were infinite, when it's not. People who want you available all the time don't really want you. They want what you provide: validation, company, distraction, emotional comfort. But when you change, when you set a boundary, when you refuse to react, they get irritated, accuse you, say you are weird. It's not because you changed. It's because you stopped being functional for them. And here's the cruel truth. The more available you are, the less others value you. Because what is too abundant becomes emotional trash. No one respects what they don't have to earn. No one values what is always there. So now stop and think, who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your listening, or better yet, who deserves your absence? But before we can answer that, we need to understand one essential thing. Why do we react so much? Why do we give in so easily? What is it that drives this almost automatic desire to respond, to justify ourselves and, well, to please others? The answer really lies in what Carl Jung called psychic energy. That's what we'll explore next, because your energy is honestly all you have. If you don't learn to protect it, someone else will end up using it against you. Jung saw the human psyche as an energy system. Every thought, every emotion, every action, each one consumes a bit of that energy. The real question is, are you actually choosing where your energy goes? Or are you just letting the world decide for you? Every single time you react impulsively, you waste psychic energy. When you defend yourself against an undeserved criticism, respond to a provocation just to prove you're right, get caught up in pointless arguments, or try to please folks who don't even value you, you're spending your inner strength on things that don't nourish you at all. Jung was clear, what you resist persists. The more you react, the more you bind yourself. People who live emotionally drained aren't weak, they're misdirected. And do you know what happens to someone who's exhausted? They become vulnerable, and when you're vulnerable, you become easy prey for manipulative, opportunistic people. Jung said a healthy psyche knows how to keep energy within the system. This means knowing how to say no without guilt, to remain silent without feeling cowardly, to observe before acting. True power isn't in reacting, it's in choosing when and how to act. And this is only possible when you know yourself well enough to recognize your own impulses. How many times have you lost sleep over an unresolved conversation? How many times have you spent hours ruminating over what you should have said or trying to understand why someone treated you poorly? This is energy being drained without return. You're keeping ghosts alive that should have died long ago, feeding dynamics that exist only because you insist on responding. Psychic energy is like a force field. When well guarded, it creates presence. You enter a room and, command respect without saying a word. But when poorly managed, you become invisible, reactive, fragile. And the world has no mercy for those who give in easily. So start observing your triggers. What makes you react automatically? What makes you lose your center? These are the points where your energy escapes and where you need to work, not to become cold or indifferent, but really to be selective, to be sovereign over yourself. When you conserve your energy, you break the projections others place upon you, and that bothers them, because now we enter a dark territory, the realm of silent manipulation. When you stop reacting, the projections begin to crumble. The mask they put on you falls, and people become unsettled because they no longer know who you are. Your unavailability is a threat because it forces others to confront their own emptiness. The silence you offer reveals the internal noise they don't want to hear. And then comes the attack, the criticism, the emotional drama. Not because you are wrong, but because you stop serving as a convenient mirror. Jung said we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. When you withdraw, when you stop feeding the cycle, the other's shadow begins to emerge. And this is unbearable for those who have always used you as an escape. Are you ready to deal with the discomfort of being misunderstood, rejected, or even attacked for protecting yourself? Are you ready to endure the silence that comes after the rupture? Because it is precisely in that silence that a new kind of power is born.